Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about food. I've done lessons about food in the past, and it is, I think, one of the most requested topics. So I thought it would be fun to do another English lesson about food. I have done a few other ones. You can go back and watch those someday. But in this English lesson about food, I'll talk about different ways to talk about preparing food. I'll talk about where you prepare food. I'll talk about what food tastes like a little bit. And I'll talk about different ways to cook food or prepare food. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about food. I think you'll enjoy it. To make or to prepare. When you talk about food, you don't, well, if it's an apple, you can just eat it. You don't have to do anything to the apple. But sometimes you need to make food or you need to prepare food. This coming weekend is Thanksgiving in Canada. It's a holiday, and so people will be going to other people's houses to celebrate and to eat food. That's what most people do when you celebrate. So some people might need to make food or they might need to prepare food. We use both words interchangeably. If people were coming to my house, I would say, I need to make food because my brothers and sisters are coming over. I need to prepare food. Now, I didn't add this to the lesson, but you can also order food. Maybe instead of making food, you just order food from a restaurant so that you don't have to make it. But when you eat, like if you want a sandwich, you have to make a sandwich. You have to prepare a sandwich before you can eat it. And you do this in one of two places. You can do it in a kitchen or a kitchenette. This might be a new word for you. I'll explain it in a moment. A kitchen is the room in the house where you prepare food or make food. It's also the room in the house where you store food. You put food in your cupboards. You put food in your refrigerator. You put food in your freezer. This is where you keep food and make or prepare food. And then also clean up after you have eaten. You have to do the dishes or wash the dishes. A kitchenette is a small kitchen, usually found in maybe an apartment or most often in a hotel room. When you stay in a hotel room, it might have a kitchenette. A kitchenette usually doesn't have a big stove or oven. It usually has a little microwave, a sink, and then a little tiny fridge. If you look and see the black thing under the counter, that is a small refrigerator, and then usually a coffee maker. I don't see a kettle, but most of the time a kitchenette will have a kettle as well. So a kitchen found in a house or apartment, a large-ish room where you can make or prepare food and keep all your food. And then a kitchenette, a smaller area. When Jen and I travel, if we stay in a hotel, we try to get a hotel with a kitchenette so we can prepare our own food to save a little bit of money. Ingredients. So when you want to make something, you need ingredients. If I want to make bread, the ingredients I need are flour, water, salt, butter or oil, and yeast. I think those are the ingredients for making bread. Sometimes when you make things, it's far more complex. You need to have 10 or 11 ingredients in order to make it. I'm not sure what this person is making, but it looks like they have all of their ingredients cut up and ready to go. So I think they're going to make maybe a little stir fry or something like that. I'm not sure. But ingredients are the individual food items you need that you can combine to make something yummy. And you do that using a recipe. Now, maybe the recipe is in your head. Maybe when you make pancakes or when you make a meal for your family, you don't follow a recipe like this one. You in your head know, cook this for this long, mix this in, dice this a certain way. You need 2 cups of this. But a recipe would be written instructions or instructions you have memorized on how to prepare a certain food item. The recipe for bread is to mix all the ingredients and to knead the dough, let the dough rise, knead the dough again, let it rise, and then bake it in the oven. But a recipe would be written instructions for how to make something. I'm always looking for new recipes. I like trying new food, and it's fun to follow a new recipe and make something new or prepare something new. And usually you will find recipes in a recipe book. Sometimes people will have recipes on little cards, like a recipe card. It's a small piece of paper about this size. But most of the recipes that Jen and I use are in recipe books. Sometimes we'll buy a new recipe book and we'll try making different types of food using that recipe book. We don't have one called Our Family Recipes. If my sister gave me recipes, they would be amazing, but I don't have a lot to say about the rest of my family. Actually, my older brother might have some good recipes as well. He's a pretty good cook. So let's talk a little bit about that. When you have food and you heat the food, we usually use the verb to cook. So you cook food. And this is kind of a general term. If people are coming over, I need to cook some food. Okay, I need to put it in a pan. I'll talk about the different ways that you can cook or prepare food. But generally, cook refers to using heat to prepare the food so that it is edible, so that it is yummy and tasty. So this person has decided to cook some sort of pasta dish. That is the verb, the general term that we use when talking about cooking or preparing food with heat. So over a fire or on the oven or in the oven or on the stove or even on a barbecue, you can cook some food.